Hey everyone, Gill Gross here, and welcome to a new series called The Point. It's where I break down one singular point that's either really interesting or really important using live footage. Jack Draper beat Carlos Alcaraz today, so that's going to be the focus of this one. And Draper has been looking to take his opportunities to be really damaging. And that's a bit of a change for Jack Draper, as he's a player with great consistency, really good movement for his size, and in the past, he's just relied on those qualities a little bit too much. He's been a solid baseliner, but hasn't always been very imposing with his offensive game. Wayne Ferreira has come into his coaching team recently. Maybe that has something to do with the change. Maybe the grass inspired him, but for whatever reason it is, Draper won his first career title last week in Stuttgart and is now continuing to play great in Queens, and he is clearly being more attacking. And this is also backed up by Tennis Insights data. They use ball tracking technology and player tracking technology to calculate what percentage of the time a player is attacking. Draper's 52-week average is 23%. Grass season so far, he's at 28%. But in this win over Alcaraz, he was 31%. Makes sense to be more attacking on grass. It is difficult to move on grass. That makes it hard to defend. And that means well-executed aggression is going to be rewarded on this surface. You have to take your opportunities to be aggressive. So where do those opportunities present themselves against Carlos Alcaraz? Well, it is kind of widely accepted that the weakest part of his game is his serve. Now, normally his second serve is really not the focus. It's more so his first because he has a great kick serve. But guess what? This is grass. Kick serves are not nearly as effective due to the significantly lower bounce that grass courts produce. So what Draper was doing really well in this match, particularly on big points, is just attacking Alcaraz's second serve with aggressive returning. Let's watch this point in real speed. All right, so there's the return winner from Jack Draper. Let's talk about why this is such a good high percentage play. What is opportunity? What are the factors that create a good environment to attack with a high percentage? Three main decision makers for shot selection: incoming ball, your court position, opponent's court position. So we're going to go through all three. Incoming ball, your court position, opponent's court position. Let's start with the incoming ball, and it has to do with kind of what I just mentioned. The kick serve on grass is not going to jump up very high off the court. I believe Draper is 6'4". He might be 6'5", but to me, I'm paused right now at contact point, shoulder level, chest level, right? Pretty much aligned with his shoulder here. So that is comfortable for Jack. It didn't bounce up above his strike zone. There's also no width. So look at Draper's feet here. Watch his split step here. Split step, bang. He does not need to move. He literally gets to stand exactly where he was already standing and can crush this forehand because Alcaraz, and remember, it's not just adding width. You can take away width. What's a body serve and why is it effective? It's you take away all the width and it makes it effective. Or you can add width and play closer to the sideline. This Alcaraz second serve was neither. Not to mention 104 miles per hour. That is a manageable speed. That's not a particularly slow second serve. It's a totally fine speed for a second serve, but this is the highest level of professional tennis. 104 miles per hour is simply not going to be enough pace to, on its own, bother a returner like Jack Draper. So everything about the incoming ball says attack. Let's talk about Draper's court position because that's a big factor. Well, he's right on top of the baseline, right? He's got 2 feet just behind the baseline, and honestly, his body weight and his momentum when he hits the ball is going to take him inside the baseline. But I think what's important here is the incoming ball and Draper's court position, which in this case is a return position, which is something that can be predetermined before the point. These things are related. If Draper were standing right behind the baseline on a clay court trying to return Alcaraz's kick serve, I believe the ball would jump over his head, because the base right around the baseline is usually where the ball apexes on a kick serve that lands in the middle of the service box, meaning that's usually just about its highest point. So normally, if you're a Jack Draper, let's say playing on clay, you'd either have to stand further in, taking the ball earlier, more on the rise. That's a harder ball to time because you're taking it quickly off the hop. You're also rushing yourself. By taking the ball earlier, you are stripping yourself of time. So there's downsides to stepping inside the baseline to try to take a kick serve as early as possible. You can also move back and wait for that ball to drop into your strike zone. Of course, there are downsides to that. It's more difficult to rush your opponent on the other side of the net when you're striking the return from way behind the baseline. Because this kick serve doesn't kick, because it doesn't jump off the court, Draper doesn't need to take it super early, doesn't need to stand super deep either. He can stand in basically the most comfortable position possible, where he's still taking time away, but he's not having to really take the ball right off the hop. So Draper's court position is good. The incoming ball is weak. Let's go to our third decision maker. That is Alcaraz's court position, and it's also body position. So Alcaraz hits this kick serve. He's not standing wide, so to speak, but still you'll find that on a second serve or any serve for that matter, you're never going to split step centered. So when I say Alcaraz is off center, I mean he's to the left of the center hash because he just hit a serve, and you have to stand off the center hash when you're hitting your serve, right? So this is kind of a universal truth, but this is obviously going to make it so that there is a further distance for Alcaraz when he's trying to cover the down the line. But more importantly, also because he just hit a serve, he's right on top of the baseline. This is not a good defensive position, right? He wants to be, if he's being attacked, he wants to be much further behind the baseline to maximize his court coverage. And he wants to be likely, because Draper in an attacking position would be threatening with the down the line, Alcaraz wants to be closer to the center of the court. So Carlitos hits this serve, and he is not in good position to defend a down the line shot. Another thing to take into consideration is just the timing of the split step. The serve is a difficult shot to quickly recover from, and this is contact for Draper. For me, Alcaraz hasn't quite hit his split step yet. He doesn't hit his split step until there, and that's a little bit late. It's going to make Alcaraz slower moving to his right. So what ends up happening here? Well, Draper hits a clean winner, but what I love most about it, and the reason you know that it was a good decision to attack this ball, is because look where Jack's ball lands. This ball lands nowhere near the baseline, nowhere near the sideline, and still Alcaraz doesn't get anywhere close to the ball. It is an easy winner with a ton of margin. And that right there means that all of the ingredients were right for Jack Draper to attack this return. But this mentality, the ability to take advantage of this, has been a major improvement in Jack's game. And by the way, you might say, well, what can Alcaraz do? Is serving to the backhand a solution? No, Jack has an excellent backhand. And if you watch this match, there were a couple of big moments before this point where Draper actually hit the same return on the ad side with his backhand inside-in return. That's how he got the second mini break and the second set tie break to go up, I believe, 4-1. And it's also what he did on the break point in the third set that put him up 4-2. The only solution here, if Alcaraz is going to expect a different result, is to simply hit a better second serve. And I don't think he can consistently ask himself to hit it too much faster than 104 miles per hour. So speed is pretty much out of the occasion. It is a grass court. You're never going to get the kick serve to jump up like you want it to. So height is out of the equation. It's really width. That's where Alcaraz needs to do better on this serve. And it's actually something that Draper did really well throughout the match. And in fact, let's go to the set point here. in the first set. Draper at 6-3. We're going to play this video. There's the second serve. Look at this second serve by Jack. And again, we're going to watch Alcaraz's feet if we can. There's the split step. He kind of knows it's going wide. You can see him jumping to his left and leaning that way before Draper even hits the serve. But you're making Alcaraz, you're putting him off balance with the width of the second serve, the slider action of the second serve. One more time in full speed. Alcaraz couldn't hit that backhand return on balance because Draper had better width on the second serve. That's what Alcaraz was lacking, and great job by Jack taking advantage. Draper won 53% of Alcaraz's second serve points. That is a solid percentage that is going to lead to breaks of serve, and it was a big part of why Draper was able to win this match. Big aggressive returns in important spots. This has been The Point.